All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is July 6th. Happy Thursday to everyone out there. We got an MLB slate to dig into today. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every game on today's slate. I'll give you what I'm thinking. I'll give you my lean or leans on the games, but all my final plays will be in the pinned comments, so make sure to keep an eye on that. It is just the first comment from this account pinned to the top of the comments, if you don't know what that means. But all my final plays are at the bottom of that. Last night, so close. And what I mean by that is we go 1-2, so we had a losing night, right? But the Diamondbacks were so close to pulling it out. We took the Diamondbacks because the Mets couldn't hit lefties, and the Mets really didn't hit lefties. They only scored 2 runs, but the Diamondbacks score 1 run, so we lose 2-1 there, and we had a 1-2 night. William Contreras, I almost put 1,000,000 units on him, ended up putting 1 unit on him, so that's how my smart brain works. But he cashes easily. Jordan Diaz does not cash easily. He actually kills us in his first at bat, but nonetheless, a bounce back opportunity for us today. A 1-2 night last night, and our ride of the day also does not come through here. Coming in from Lalo, I liked it, jumped on board, plus 265 parlay, but we got another womp to drop here. Rangers and Reds nerfy, and the Cubs and Brewers nerfy. 3 of the 4 teams, so credit to Lalo, 3 of the 4 teams did not score a run in the first inning. Just the Red Sox in the bottom of the first end up dropping a couple runs here, so kind of a loss there, but still a good prediction. I do like it, and if you guys do want to be the ride of the day, all you gotta use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments and drop me an absolute banger, guys, and I'll be jumping on board with one person's pick in the comments, and you guys got a shout out, win or loss. When you win, we have a good time, we celebrate, but when you lose, you got to face the womp. You got to face the devil in the mirror. I think that's a saying. I don't think it is now that I say it again. But nonetheless, guys, drop your hashtag ride of the day in the comments with your favorite pick, and I'll be jumping on board with one person's play in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and get to game number 1 on today's slate. We got the Washington Nationals taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Reds, so far so good in this series. They've won 3 straight, winning 3-2 in game 1, 8-4 in game 2, and 9-2 in game number 3. I want to lean towards the Reds again, but it is kind of scary to think that they're going to win 4 straight against a Nationals team that actually started to trend in the right direction prior to this series. And I want to address something pretty quickly before the game. So main event was a comment from yesterday. Main event 4513 talked about how people are still disrespecting the Reds. They're not just a hot team, they are a good team. And I want to clarify some stuff I said in yesterday's video, because I don't think this was directed directly at me, but nonetheless, I do still think the Reds have to prove themselves for just a little bit more before I kind of put them into that bucket of they're really a good team, or they're just a good team. They're still red hot in my brain, so it's really not like a disrespectful thing to the Reds. I just want to see it sustained over a little bit more of time than it has been, if that makes sense. So I know they're a good team. I trust that they're a good team. But I want to make sure they're not just a hot team, because there's a time where you can be on the fringe and be on the fence and be both of those at once. You are a good team, but you're still the hot team. You know what I mean? And right now, they're still leaning a little bit more towards that hot team in my brain. But I believe that they're going to be good. I believe they can make it to the playoffs and everything like that. But I'm going to lean towards them today, plus 104 odds. But the scary thing is that, plus 104 seems like a trap. And then also, they've already won these first 3 games. Like, are they really going to 4 games sweep the Nationals? They can, but are they? Williamson's on the mound for them today. He is no stud. 5.56 ERA with a 1.4 whip and a 1-2 record. But he's going up against Mackenzie Gore, who has definitely struggled as of late here. 4.48 ERA with a 4-7 record, a 1.47 whip. So I lean towards the Reds, but what I'm also going to take a peek at, and I wish this line was a little bit lower, I'll be honest, but I do look at the over 10 runs in this spot. You have 2 lefties on the mound, and both of these ball clubs hit lefties fairly well. Cincinnati 264 against lefties here, but averaging almost 6 runs per 9 against lefties. And then Washington batting 275 here, and averaging just about 5 runs per 9 as well. I like the over, and I also like the Reds in this game. Detroit taking on the Athletics, and I know I keep telling you guys, and it stinks that, I'm doing a baseball show, but don't really care about this series. But nonetheless, Oakland has won the first 2 games in this series here, and this is the series conclusion here. They won 1-0 game 1, then 12-3 yesterday. Lorenzen's on the mound for the Tigers today, and I do think he is a better pitcher than Hogan Harris is going for the Athletics. So I am going to lean towards Detroit to at least snag 1 in this series. So I lean towards them. A's do not hit righties well whatsoever, only averaging about 3 runs per 9 and a 213 average against righties, so nothing really to write home about here. Whereas the Tigers, not like they crush lefties or anything like that, but they are hitting lefties better than the A's are hitting righties. So I lean towards Detroit. I don't think it becomes a final play because minus 150, minus 156 isn't something that's necessarily going to entertain me. The total is sitting at 8.5 runs, and again, we saw 2 games here in this series thus far that were a little interesting. 1-0 and then 12-3. I guess neither one of these teams probably even care all that much about this last game of the series either. So I'm going to lean towards the over. It's not like they're going to be out there, the 2 pitchers aren't going to be, feeling like they're in the World Series, every pitch matters. And I just have a feeling that, maybe they carry a little momentum from yesterday's sort of pace of play. So I'm going to lean towards the over. But then again, guys, I don't want to make it sound like I'm super confident in this. I hate to do it to you guys in game number 2, but we do just follow the order of the slate. But I don't really care all that much about this series. So apologies for that. All right, Milwaukee taking on the Chicago Cubs here. Cubs plus 100 on the money line. Milwaukee sitting at right around minus 105 right now. The total is at 8 runs. I know the graphics is 8.5, but it has since moved since getting the screenshots and whatnot. But the Cubs winning the last 2 games here. This is the 4th game of this series. This Cubs team really was on the slide. Milwaukee, I guess, playing better baseball. Like I've kind of said every day in this video, Milwaukee is trending in the right direction. They did have, a couple bad losses there, again, one against Pittsburgh and then one against the Mets. But the Cubs, even though they look like they were going to kind of turn it on, have not. But they've played some tough teams, but nonetheless, I am going to lean towards Milwaukee in this one. I don't like betting against Stroman. I feel like he's at least started to pitch well. All things considered, I think they've lost the last 2 starts that he's pitched, and if my memory serves me correct, I don't have it up in front of me, but I know prior to his last either 1 or 2 starts, he was dealing, so I don't expect him to be that terrible, which is why I also like the under. I think that he's going to come out there and pitch fairly well. Peralta's on the mound for Milwaukee, and if it was Stroman versus one of the other Milwaukee pitchers, I might have to second guess it for a second, right? But I can trust Freddie Peralta to at least keep this pitching matchup close, because he has had plenty of good games this season. So I'm going to lean towards Milwaukee. In terms of the total, like I said, the total may even be my favorite lean in this game on the under. So far, we've seen, some crazy high-scoring games other than yesterday's. But I think the series is starting to taper off from a runs perspective. It started off 8-6, then it moved down a little bit to 7-6, then it moved down to 4-3. I think today is going to be another like 4-2, 5-2 type ball game. So I'm going to lean towards the under. And again, I like Milwaukee, just given the fact that they're still favorites here, even though the Cubs have Marcus Stroman on the mound. I'm going to trust kind of what that line reading tells me. All right, guys, before we get to the rest of the slate, I did want to talk to you guys about Daily Grind Fantasy. I have mentioned them prior to on the channel, but I've been using them for a while now to help capitalize on the value over on PrizePicks. So if you don't know what Daily Grind Fantasy is, it's pretty much an optimizer, or at least one of their biggest tools that they have is the Daily Sports Optimizer here, guys, where you can compare all PrizePicks lines to sportsbooks lines, as well as the odds that you're getting on those major sportsbooks. So if we filter to the MLB right here, we can see all of the PrizePicks offerings and all of the plays, and you can see if there's any line discrepancies, which at the top of the optimizer it doesn't look like there is, but sometimes PrizePicks will be offering a better line than the sportsbooks lines here. But what I really do use this for and love is the idea of seeing all of these major sportsbooks here and what the odds that they are offering, and you can see if you are getting good value, because PrizePicks doesn't care about odds. They have a fixed payout structure. So if you put a play that is minus 145 like this one is, Kyle Bradish under 5.5 strikeouts, along with a play like this, Nick Pratto, it's a minus 134 odds. PrizePicks doesn't care that you have 2 super juiced plays. They just know you have 2 plays. So this is almost a must-have in my brain when it comes to playing over on PrizePicks. And you can see they also have it associated with Underdog, No House Advantage, Parlay Play, Hot Streak, Fliff, Jock Market, and Thrive Fantasy as well. It is a very, very cool tool. You can use the link in the description or the pinned comment, and you guys can get a 7-day free trial to check it out. I've been using this for a while now, guys, and I practice what I preach. This is a very good tool if you are on those PrizePicks apps, which they're hot in the street right now. A lot of people are on the daily sports pick'em format type apps, which I am as well, but definitely go check out Daily Grind Fantasy, guys. Use that link in the description or the pinned comment. You guys can get a 7-day free trial. If you do sign up and check out that trial, I think you'll find a lot of value instantly, because you can build PrizePicks slips that are mathematically efficient and have value like that. So definitely go check it out, guys. Next game on our slate is going to be the White Sox taking on the Toronto Blue Jays, which is the first of a doubleheader today. And you guys know I don't really love doubleheaders to the point where I keep talking about how I don't love doubleheaders, and someone in the last video was like, you should have a shirt that says I don't like doubleheaders. And I was like, well, that would explain my thought process, but I don't think anyone would buy that shirt. But nonetheless, I do think that this is one opportunity where I can kind of see this. It's the same, everything that we were going to see yesterday and everything like that, right? So I do still like this spot for Toronto. I'm going to lean towards Toronto at -124 on FanDuel. I don't hate that whatsoever. So that's the direction I am going to lean in. Yes, they are playing later on in the day as well, but I just don't really have necessarily any desire to go out there and try and force something for Toronto here. So I'm going to lean towards the Berrios and Lance Lynn matchup here, not necessarily what is next. I don't think we have a starter for the White Sox, but I think Kikichi's going for the Toronto Blue Jays, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, guys, I lean towards Toronto in game number 1. And then in terms of the total, I don't have the biggest of leans or feel on the total here, so I'm going to kind of stay away from it because it is a doubleheader and I don't like doubleheaders, but I could see Toronto easily pulling this one out in game 1 of this doubleheader. So I lean towards Toronto. That is my lean. I've said lean 10 times. There it is. Next game. We have the Marlins taking on the Cardinals here. Marlins have looked pretty damn good in this series thus far. They won 3 games so far, 5-4, 15-2, and then 10-9 here. And if I'm not mistaken, they did have a really big lead as well yesterday too at one point in that game, but I might be thinking of game 2. But nonetheless, Yuri Perez on the mound for the Marlins, which I think is a big advantage over Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Cardinals. So I am going to lean towards the Marlins. The only thing that could keep me off of this is just my dumb brain being like, they've won 3 in this series. Are they really going to win 4? That isn't that common. You know, are they going to get a 4-game sweep? Which you should look at every game in a vacuum, but some of these trends and whatnot do obviously matter a whole hell of a lot. So I'm going to lean towards the Marlins. Obviously, the offense is cooking right now, and they have a better pitcher today. And I think a better pitcher by far, in my opinion. So I'm going to lean towards them. In terms of the total 8 runs, I don't know how you can like take an under with these last couple games. Even game 1, which is a 5-4, that hit the over as well. So I am going to lean towards the over here, but it is kind of just like a layman's play, right? Like they've scored a bunch of runs lately, so go towards the over. I don't know if that becomes a final play either. This seems like it could be a trap because it's so clear that the Marlins are playing better baseball, right? And I thought the Cardinals were about to start playing better baseball. Look back, I don't know, 2-3 videos when I was like, this Cardinals team I think is on the upslope, right? They weren't. Clearly, this Marlins team's having their way with him, but nonetheless, guys, I do lean towards the Marlins as well as the over. Keep an eye on the pin comment to see if anything becomes final from this game. All right, Tampa Bay taking on the Phillies, and Tampa Bay, you know, it is Florida. They must love water parks because they are on the slide. You guys like that one? Let me know. But yeah, they've lost 4 straight games here. They lost the latter 2 against Seattle, and they've lost 2 here against Philly, 3-1 and then 8-4. On the mound today is Armstrong for the Rays. He's got a 1.15 ERA and a 1.02 WHIP, going up against Christopher Sanchez on the mound for the Phillies, who hasn't really been that great to start the year here. 0-2 with a 1.14 WHIP. So the WHIP's nice, but a lot of hard hit balls, resulting in a 3.5 ERA here. This is tricky because I want to say, okay, come on. It's been enough. This Rays team has to put it together, right? But they've done nothing to indicate that they are going to put that together. And at -170 odds today, I don't think so. So I'm sticking away from a side of this game. The way that I will lean is going to be towards the over because I do think at some point this Rays offense has to kick it into gear. And they're going up against a lefty today in which they're averaging 6.3 runs per 9 with a 274 average against lefties. So I like to see that. And the righties for the Phillies, batting righties here, they actually hit righties pretty well too, averaging over 6 hits and a 260 average. So I look for a decent amount of runs to be scored, hopefully by Tampa Bay, because I do want to see one of the best teams in the league get back to being one of the best teams in the league, you know, but they just haven't been there or haven't been doing that. Remember my slide reference and slide joke? That's what they've been doing. They've been sliding and sucking. So nonetheless, I like the over in this game. I don't really have that much of a gauge on the side just because those odds, I know they're not on the screen, but -170 on DraftKings right now for Tampa Bay. Way too much to be paying for 2 reasons. They've been sucking, and 2, Armstrong's on the mound. It's not like I can just go out there and totally trust him right now either. So nonetheless, I'm going to lean towards the over in this game as my main lean. All right, I talked to you guys about Daily Grind Fantasy, but today is Thursday, meaning Prize Picks is going to have the discount dogs barking over on the app or the website, whichever you choose to play on. If you don't know what the discount dogs promo is for Prize Picks, they've been dropping it every Thursday, and they have a bunch of different discounted squares over there, which is perfect to match up with the use of the optimizer. So make sure to parlay both of these things together, guys, and you can start capitalizing over on Prize Picks. And if you're not signed up for Prize Picks, it's discount dog day, literally one of the best days to sign up. They're gonna have a bunch of different promos over there, so use the link in the description or the pinned comment to go sign up for Prize Picks. You guys get 100% of your first deposit matched. Absolute no-brainer. Go check it out. That link is in the description. If you are someone that hasn't signed up for Prize Picks yet and it's legal in your state and you've seen everybody and their grandma, I know I'm not the only one promoting Prize Picks, right? Take this opportunity to say, okay, why haven't I? If everyone's saying it's fun and it's been fun, why haven't I? I highly encourage you guys to go check it out. I'm on all of these DFS Pick'em apps, guys, because there's value across the board and they all do things different, like the discount dogs here for Prize Picks. So go check it out, guys. Easy deposits, easy withdrawals, totally legitimate. So go check it out, guys. That link is in the description as well as the pinned comment. All right, Yankees taking on Baltimore here. Yankees catch the L yesterday after winning the first 2 games in this series, and I kind of could see that coming. I think that this is another spot for Baltimore. I think both these teams are teams that would split this series. The Baltimore Orioles do have Bradish on the mound, which I don't hate whatsoever. 3.5 ERA with a 1.2 whip. Going up against yikes. Can you give yourself a womp womp for not talking right? Luis Severino, guys, on the mound for the Yankees. Maybe I got to call it quits halfway through the video because I'm not making it. But he has not been all that good since he's come back from injury. But as we know, he is a good pitcher. So I don't want to make this about a numbers thing with the pitcher side. I don't think that really is what we're looking at. But for what it's worth, throwing arm wise, the Orioles, and both these guys are righties, the Orioles bat righties way better than the Yankees do bat righties. So I'm gonna lean towards the Orioles in this one. They've been not playing the best of baseball, but I think that this is the type of series in which they split 2-2. So we're hoping that happens. Then in terms of the total, 8.5. I don't think either one of these pitchers are on this elevated level of not letting up runs. And we've seen, 9+ runs in every game this series so far. So I don't know why that trend would change. I'm gonna lean towards the over as well. All right, Guardians taking on the Royals here. Obviously, this Royals team is kind of in the you-know-what. But Cleveland coming off of a series in which, they kind of got spanked around too, but by a way better team. So Kansas City's coming off of losing 3 or 4? I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was a 4-game or 3-game series, but they got swept by the Twins. This is obviously a new series, and Cleveland's coming off of losing 2 of 3 against Atlanta. I do think that this is a Cleveland spot with Tanner Beebe on the mound going up against Jordan, capital L, Lyles on the mound for the Royals. But nonetheless, you're paying -210 for Cleveland right now, which is a little bit too much. Now, would I consider their run line? If you really want to force something in this game or really want to bet against a Kansas City team, then sure. I don't hate the run line at -101 odds. I think there's some value there. But this Cleveland team in their last 10 games as run line favorites, -1.5, have only covered that in 3. So they haven't really been the biggest of run line teams. So for what that's worth, guys, put it in your back pocket, and if you really want to force something into this game, I don't hate Cleveland on the run line, but I don't think I'm going to get myself to pull the trigger there. In terms of the total, we're looking at a total of 9 right now. I'm going to lean towards the under. I don't think that Tanner Beebe is going to let this Royals ball club get to him, and Kansas City only batting .224 against righties on the year here. Definitely not, and actually with like a below 300 on base percentage as well. So I don't expect Kansas City to carry their weight in terms of the total, and I don't think this Cleveland offense is really showing all that much gusto as of late either, so I'm going to lean towards the under as well. All right, Red Sox taking on the Rangers here. Red Sox getting the win in yesterday's game, 4-2. They lose game 1, though, 6-2. Nathan Eovaldi on the mound for the Rangers today, which is probably what I'm looking at in terms of a play here, looking at the Rangers. Now, I am a Red Sox fan, so it's tough to pull the trigger here, but Nathan Eovaldi, as I've said multiple times on the channel, one of my favorite pitchers in the league right now, and he had some comments, too, that I liked coming from him about how he still wanted to be a Red Sox, but they didn't really give him anything that was a fair offer, which is kind of like, okay, now he might have a little revenge coming into this game. So I'm going to look at the Rangers in this one. The total sitting at 10 runs. I don't like that. I'm going to lean towards the under, but I'm also going to take a peek at where Evaldi's player props are here. For strikeouts, hits allowed, outs, that type of thing, because I do think that he is going to kind of come in here with a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder than he normally would, and he already is that kind of screw you pitcher, so I'm excited to see what happens. I think this is going to be a good performance from him. I don't necessarily think the Texas Rangers are going to like blow them out or anything, so I'm not looking at the run line and saying, okay, Evaldi's going to shove and the Red Sox aren't going to do anything. This Red Sox team has still been playing good baseball. They've won 4 of their last 5, including obviously yesterday's win, and when they are underdogs here, they've actually been performing pretty well as well. So I'm going to lean towards the Rangers, but I don't necessarily think this is going to be an absolute blowout. But Texas does bat righties very, very well, which obviously Cutter Crawford on the mound for the Sox today is a righty. Whether or not he's starting to pitch better or not, still looking at a right hand, which they see very well. So I'm going to lean towards the under and Texas, and then I also do want to take a peek at what Evaldi's player prop stats are. So keep an eye on Instagram or TikTok for those player props. Obviously, I post them here as well, but the videos actually come out over on TikTok or Instagram Reels. All right, Houston taking on Seattle. Unfortunately, we don't have a pitcher for Houston just yet, so I'm not going to have an official lean because we don't really know what the odds are or even the total in this is. But what I will talk about is how these are two teams that are starting to heat up. Houston, you might as well consider them hot. And then Seattle, I think based on how their pitching is starting to step up, obviously they have some bats in lineup too, but they are going to be a very, very dark horse team as the season continues. So don't say I didn't tell you, but you got a divisional matchup here as well. I do think that, Houston being at home, it's going to be a good spot for them. They are playing better baseball, but I'm saying, and I'm calling, I guess I should say, coming up, I think the Seattle team is going to put it all together. They have won 4 of their last 5. They get a tough loss. Was it yesterday against San Francisco here? They only lose 2-0. So I wouldn't take that as like a shot to the heart that they're not playing good baseball anymore. No, they're right on the right track here. So I think it's going to be a good series, obviously. But for game 1, I don't know what the obviously the odds are going to be or what the odds are, but I am going to lean towards Houston just because it's game 1 of a decent series here at home. And then in terms of the total, if it's anywhere what it's like what it's been like for these two teams, which is sitting right around that 8.5. I'm also going to take a peek at the under. I think these two teams are going to grind it out today. All right, Diamondbacks versus Mets. I want to go Diamondbacks here. Nelson on the mound for them going up against Carrasco for the Mets. I think the Diamondbacks have the pitching edge, but you-know-whats let me down yesterday big. But I think we're still going to lean towards Diamondbacks here. Whether or not it becomes a final play, we'll see how petty I am as the day progresses. But I do think that this is a Diamondback spot. They bat righties better than the Mets bat righties as well. Both these guys pitching from the right side here. The Diamondbacks batting almost 260 with a near 6-run average over 9 against righties and a 6.5 hit rate as well. So I do like this spot. Then in terms of the total, I'm going to look at the under here. We did see, obviously, a low-scoring game yesterday. Game 1 was a high-scoring game, but I think that what we saw yesterday is more like it. Not necessarily a 2-1 game, but probably, we could see like some 5-4 game still hits the under today. You know what I mean? So I am going to lean towards the under. And then the Diamondbacks, I like the spot. I like the pitching. We'll see if I'm petty enough to keep them off the final plays, but they do have a real chance. If I'm being serious, a real chance of being a final play today. I don't think that they lose 3 straight here against this Mets ball club. All right, Dodgers taking on the Pirates here. Obviously, Dodgers heavy favorites. I do think that this is a fine spot for them. I think that they take the win here and win 3 of the 4 here with Urias on the mound going up against Oviedo. But nonetheless, I don't think that, playing them as a single bet is ultimately the move. So I lean towards Dodgers, maybe in some sort of parlay, but we'll probably have a nice Friday parlay tomorrow. So we'll save something like a big heavy favorite to throw in there for something like that tomorrow. But in terms of the total 9 runs here, I like the over. Both these pitchers, yes, Urias, I do think is a slightly better pitcher than Oviedo on the mound here, but both these guys can let up plenty of runs. I'm not going to say at any given moment. I'm not trying to throw that much shade here, but, you're looking at a Pirates team, which I think if the Dodgers are going to win this game, right, the Pirates actually bat lefties fairly well, so I think that's going to be a good spot for them. Obviously, this Dodgers offense, anytime it kicks it into gear, it doesn't really matter who's pitching or if they're throwing with their feet, for Christ's sakes. They're going to be able to hit and score some runs, which they are kind of, I guess you could say, hopefully with the less of a couple games in the last 10, are kind of on that offensive track. So I like the over in this one. That's probably going to be the only thing that I could actually serve up as a legitimate sort of final play for this one, because I don't think that they're worth it as a single, but you can get even odds over in BetMGM right now on the over at plus 100. So I do think that is a decent play today. And guys, that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy the show. If you did, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, and let me know if you made it till the end. Go ahead and comment 24 in the comments if you are still watching now. There can't be any of you guys, right? 24 damn minutes. Let me know in the comments by commenting 24 if you did make it till the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.